your own personal branded website, whether you move on from HR or you stay in it, or you look for a more senior role, you can evolve that personal branded website into that journey, or you'll move it into something else as the business grows and evolve. So one of the tips that I always say to everyone, and actually in today's workshop, I made sure everyone before they'd left had bought their domain name. And we'd had 4 people that bought their domain name in the workshop. And even if you don't know what you might be doing or will you ever need it, I always say buy your kids. I wish my parents had bought mine. Mine was gone. Kelly Lundberg was gone.
How annoying.
It really was, because I'm like, I've got an unusual surname, which is why I ended up going Kelly Lundberg. So I would always say, where possible, try and buy your domain name. This episode is brought to you by the Travel Counsellors, the only franchise travel company in the UAE. If you're inspired to start a business like many of the guests we have on the podcast, love to travel, and the thought of planning dream bucket list holidays lights you up, then this could be the opportunity for you. This flexible business allows you to work from home, bonus, whilst Travel Counsellors provide the training, back office support, licensing, and access to industry-leading booking platform. If you're passionate about travel and have an entrepreneurial spirit and interested in joining a company that put care at the heart of everything that they do, then click the links in the show notes below. Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Kelly Lundberg podcast. I've been trialing something new, and that is inviting guests on, whether they're a follower on Instagram and have a question, they're from LinkedIn, or just want a little bit of help with their personal brand strategy. We do it live. So we have a question. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Kelly.
It's my pleasure. Now, we've had a few questions back and forward over Instagram, and we've had a call. Why don't you give everyone a little bit of a backstory as to who you are, and then what's your question?
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, so my name's Annie. I've been in the UAE for 9 years. I am just launching a marketplace app and website so people can buy and sell secondhand clothes, furniture, babies, accessories, luxury items, etc. So that's set to launch soon. And I'm also work in the corporate world in the HR. I'm a HR manager for a consulting firm.
You're head in both spaces, which
Yes.
a lot of my clients do. So what is your question that you wanted to start with?
So I suppose with starting a business and social media being such there's so many platforms to be on.
Yeah.
What do you think about having a personal website?
I think it's a great question. So thank you very much for asking that. And I think it's a great question for a couple of things. I think in terms of positioning yourself for who you are, and so that you can visually see who you are, having a personal branded website helps, whether that's to get your next job, whether that's to get speaking opportunities, whether that's to get podcast invites. Having even just a one-pager starts to create a digital footprint as to who you are. And even if you don't keep the business that you start, having your own personal branded website, whether you move on from HR or you stay in it, or you look for a more senior role, you can evolve that personal branded website into that journey, or you'll move it into something else as the business grows and evolve. So one of the tips that I always say to everyone, and actually in today's workshop, I made sure everyone before they'd left had bought their domain name. And we'd had 4 people that bought their domain name in the workshop. And even if you don't know what you might be doing or will you ever need it, I always say buy your kids. I wish my parents had bought mine. Mine was gone. Kelly Lundberg was gone.
How annoying.
It really was, because I'm like, I've got an unusual surname, which is why I ended up going Kelly Lundberg. So I would always say, where possible, try and buy your domain name. The other reason being is if you then have a more popular name, then it can be hard to find you. So maybe you want to change not change your name, but have a name that's maybe easy for people to remember or has something else in it, then all your handles match. You sign off all your blogs in that way. So it's just kind of putting the foundations in to the next step.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I recently got married, and it was the problem of, do you change your surname?
Yes. So that's another great question. And I think that's where it comes to. that piece of going, well, how do I want to be known? In the business world, am I known under my maiden name? Have I got lots of accomplishments under my maiden name? So I recently had a podcast interview with an Olympic gold medalist. And when I was doing a little bit of my research beforehand, I was like, I can't find anything on this person. But she won her Olympic gold medal in her maiden name.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it's quite hard then when you're trying to sort of build your credibility in what it is that you're doing. How do you still keep? Do you keep your maiden name for all the things and the successes that you've got? Or do you go, I'm not there yet, so I'm going to go with my married name? And then I've got clients that have kept their married name post a divorce because they built their brand in that name, and everyone knows them more as that than they do as the other.
And you think, and your husband thinks like, God, it's an easy thing. Just take my surname.
What did you decide to go for? Are you
I changed my name. I dyed my hair brown. So I basically rebranded.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
But yeah, and then when I set the business up, I thought, well, I haven't done that before under my other name. So I thought, let's change it.
So I would say that would probably make sense.
Yeah.
If you're going with that, go with the married name, but then own your domain name in that. And then at least you've got it there. So whether it's a one-pager, you also want to make things like journalist lives easier. So I love a one-page website to even just have, these are my credentials. Here you can download my media kit. Here's some pictures. Here's my bio. And then as you start to get opportunities, you can then start putting them onto your website. But I even had a client that was in corporate that used a personal branded website to get a job.
Very clever.
And what the strategy that we used there was, I got her to buy hirebarbara.com. And that then became the downloadable place for her CV. And it was the one link that people went to. And we created a strategy. She went off and implemented it, a video that drew people to the hirebarbara.com website. And it resulted in a viral video on LinkedIn, 4.6 million views, wow, over 60 job opportunities. And eventually through that, a job that paid more than the job she was in. So I think there's a lot of weight in a personal branded website.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does help. Thank you, Tara.
Have you got another one?
Yes. I suppose the power of LinkedIn. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh my God, I love it. Love it. I love it. Are you using it?
Not really.
Yeah. So I think, especially in the region that we're in, it's huge. But interestingly, a previous podcast we just had on, and I was interviewing earlier, was saying that he much prefers the platform of LinkedIn versus Instagram. It can be a better introduction for people that are maybe slightly more conscious about putting themselves out there. Oh, do I have to record a reel in my face? I don't want to do that. I'm not ready yet. Or maybe you're in a transitional space where you can't do that. So having LinkedIn allows you to put thought leadership pieces out or opinion pieces or points of view, and it's written, rather than it always being you need to create a reel for the platform of TikTok or Instagram, for example.
And it's a different demographic as well, isn't it?
Different demographic, a little bit more professional. People do make the mistake that they can't post personal stuff on it, which you can, and they're always the better performing posts as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so there's the consistency piece that people don't do on LinkedIn. We'll maybe post once a week, or even worse, once a month. And that doesn't generate anything. Then there's the non-commenting on people's posts. That actually really helps to grow your visibility, because unlike other platforms, when you comment on other people's, people see your name.
Right.
And it comes up on the feed. But I think creating a really strong strategy around LinkedIn is incredibly powerful. One, to set yourself up as an expert in what it is that you're doing, but two, to attract the kind of clientele that you want to work with in maybe a less crowded environment as well.
Amazing.
I love that.
Get onto LinkedIn.
Yeah, with your personal branded website.
Yeah.
What's something you're going to implement from
Go and buy my domain, I suppose. You've probably got a fifth person now sign up for their
Amazing.
domain.
I should be on an affiliate program for that. GoDaddy.
Yeah.
They're so reasonable though. I mean,
Really?
generally to buy a domain name, you can be talking like 99 cents or something like that. So
amazing. And I think definitely put like a social strategy around LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. How many times are you posting currently?
Once a month.
Oh, you're one of the once a monthers.
Reshares doesn't do anything.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Lazy posting. What could you go up to?
I would say like 2 or 3 times a week for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try. And when I launch the business, I really want to be very present on LinkedIn. That's definitely, and something beforehand as well.
Love it. So I would do
Yeah.
that minimum twice a week, get the third as a bonus. Then you know that that's your non-negotiable. Because then if you go 2 or 3, you go minimum 2, and then the 3 is a bonus. And have your domain name.
Thank you. I just had one more question.
Go for it.
Being in the corporate world and having a business,
Yeah.
you're kind of 2 different people in a way.
Yeah.
How do you kind of amalgamate the branding? You know, like if I started posting on LinkedIn about my business,
Yeah.
all the people that follow me for being a HR manager at the company I work for, will they not be confused?
Yeah. And I think it's a really interesting point in the perspective of, is your company okay with you doing that? Because for some of my clients, they can't be seen to be building a side hustle or having another business, so they can't be posting on LinkedIn. You can do it a bit more anonymously if you're doing it on Instagram or what have you. So I think, first of all, you need to know the boundaries of that. But then I think this is when it comes down to being honest and transparent. I think if you shared with people that this was part of your journey, by day I'm doing this, but this is something I'm really passionate about because I see a gap in the market, and I'd love if you've come on the journey with me and support me with this. And if you set that out at the outset of going, okay, this is what I'm doing, it might work, it might not work. So you've got a bit of the vulnerability in this too, a bit of inspiration, because people are like, wow, I'd kind of like to do something like that, but I'm not ready yet. Let's watch our journey. And then you've got a bit of post. I would make the business journey of what you're doing one of your content pillars that you're posting.
I love that. That's such a good idea.
Oh, so that's kind of where I would take that.
Yeah. God, I'm going to be busy tonight.
I love it. Thank you so much for helping me co-create this episode, because it's down to these questions that inspire others and help it go places. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Kelly. And I suppose anyone listening, if you're just wanting to kind of get out there and set something up or, you know, be an entrepreneur, then just go for it.
I love it. Thanks, Annie.
Thank you.
Thank you to Travel Counsellors for this episode. If you're inspired to start a business like many of the guests that you hear on the podcast, and the thought of planning a dream bucket list holiday lights you up, check out the details in the show notes.